it's Coach Tori, and this is Raising Runners. We talk running, fitness, mental health, and so many more topics. As the founder of a youth running program, I approach all of our conversations with our youth athletes in mind and kind of have a focus around those things. But as you will see, we are finding that all of these topics relate to runners and people who like to move and do fitness or anything like that. Relates to everybody. Check it out. Hey, it's Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And this is Raising Runners, and we are back to do another installment of our running rhetoric or jogging jousts. Or did we come up with any other ones, or was that it?
No, that was the two you had.
Okay. We're going to be doing that again. Debating with my dad. I came up with that one the other day. Although it's like barely a debate, but we're doing that again today with the next three topics we're talking about, which we mentioned at the end of last week's episode. So just to give you a little preview of what you're in for, the topics. Oh, where are my topics? The topics we were talking about is compression gear versus baggy clothes, baggy running materials, gels versus real foods. Oh, and marathon or not marathon on your bucket list, or marathon on your bucket list, or don't do it. I feel like I explained those so poorly, but those are the three things we're going to be talking about today. So if anybody has any other suggestions, definitely either email at americanrunclub@gmail.com or leave a comment on YouTube with some other topics. We have like 15 or so. We've done 3. This will be 6. So we have about 9 left. I'm sure we'll come up with a couple in the meantime. I'm sure we'll at some point decide we want to do book chat again or movie chat again. Or we'll find a really flexible guest, but we're going to try to get through these as we're kind of going through, because this is what our schedules allow for. So before we get into that though, oh my gosh, it's only been a week. I feel like we haven't done any like back-to-backs before. So it's like, hey, what's going on? And it's only been a week, but what's new?
What's new with me? Not like my walking 10 miles a day is holding true. I'm feeling much better. No pain at all now. So I've been cleared by the doctor to start very slowly in about 10 days.
Wow,
so
that's exciting.
I'll start running small, slow runs, probably walk half a mile, run half a mile, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then I can start lifting weights. I'll probably start with 10-pound dumbbells and then just hopefully quickly work up. So that's my status. I feel great. I'm actually interested to see what walking 60 miles a week does for my running. I mean, I feel great. I feel rested. I feel strong now. This week I feel like I've bounced back. So I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to chat about what coaching wise you want help with returning to running, strategies and goals and all that stuff to look at your schedule. That's exciting though.
Yep.
My gosh.
So how about you? Have you decided what you're going to do now?
No, because I'm still I'm stuck on, there's no 5K winter series. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now. That was the only plans.
I did look for some races, and there were, up until December, there were races like early December, and then it goes dark.
Yeah.
It goes dark until April or May, or maybe March sometime. But I didn't see any runs on that, sort of that list of runs that you normally get in, Run USA or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, same. I haven't really seen much of anything. And then the other bummer, which, doesn't matter to everybody, but it's like, okay, you sign up for one of these 5Ks that you see, early December or whatever it is. And it's like $40 or whatever. It's like, or you do the whole 5K winter series was like 75 or 80. And it's like, it just doesn't really, doesn't add up, doesn't compute. So no, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Yeah, this week's supposed to, it's seemingly looking like it's going to be a little more a bit of a normal training week. Like we did a easy run on Monday during nap time, track workout Tuesday, easy run. I mean, by easy run, we did a 5K Monday. We did a 5K today. I did mile comfortable pace mile, then 20 minutes of 200 hard, 200 easy. So it was nothing crazy, but so it's trying to get that together, I thought I was on a really good schedule of getting like a CrossFit workout in a couple times a week, and that just seems to keep falling apart as well. So who knows?
Who's we? Are you doing running with somebody else now?
I say we because I'm never alone.
Oh, okay. This is a
I know
small child.
it's a collective we,
Yeah.
me and James, we, although he did stay home on Tuesday for the track workout. So I actually got to do the track workout with the ladies running group. So that was a different we, but it's always a we.
Okay. No, no, that's good.
Yeah, but yeah, we've like I was trying to do like my CrossFit workouts when he was like in the backyard pool or whatever. And now it's like the weather's been so iffy, we don't do the pool anymore. So now I'm like, when am I gonna get those lifts in? So we'll see. But yeah, so no plans, but that also I feel like that takes off the stress of training because I'm like, otherwise I'd probably be like, why am I only doing these easy runs? So yeah, that's it. Nothing crazy.
All right. Well, good. Then we'll keep in touch on these things and figure out where we go next.
Yeah. No, that sounds good because I have a bunch of runners. Everybody's like doing their marathons. Like one of my runners did a marathon last week. We have somebody doing a marathon this week. Then we have a couple of marathons and halves in the next 2 weeks. So like all the runners have races right now. So it's like exciting at the moment. Cause I'm like, everybody's, got the goals coming and all that stuff. But I'm like, it makes me want to do it. But I'm also like, we'll see.
Hey, one thing I've started doing is watching marathons too, which is motivational. So I on the treadmill because I do a few of these walks on the treadmill.
Yeah.
I watched the London Marathon. It was amazing, by the way.
Was
So
it?
you should watch it. It was great from a women's marathon perspective. It was one of the most exciting marathons. I haven't seen that many of them, but it was exciting.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll have to because I only saw like very small clips. So yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I saw London, I saw Berlin. I did watch the summaries of the UTMB
Yeah.
race as well. So I feel like I'm caught up on my long distance running stuff.
Did you see any from Spartathlon? What is it? Spartathlon? I'm probably
I
not even
did not
pronouncing
see
it right.
Spartathlon now.
Okay. Yeah, I know that just happened. I think Camille set another record. Um, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, always cool things in long distance running.
Yeah. And so speaking of running, so just so we can, where do you just did a run with half marathon in Philadelphia. Did
Mm-hmm.
you wear compression pants or were you wearing loose clothes? So I just want to know where you stand with these things before we start going into the positions.
Oh my gosh, what did I wear? I wore running shorts, so compression shorts.
Okay.
Um,
Did you eat or real
um,
food or did you use a gel?
I had the little blocks, so I guess that counts in the gel category.
Okay. And then, oh, well, and you haven't run a marathon, so we won't get into bucket list whether it's overrated or not. So,
Fair.
all right.
All right, so that's I guess my stance on things, but I'm not sure. Yeah, well, okay. So getting into the first one, compression versus baggy. So just to define these things a little bit, at least for me, is what I was thinking. We're talking more about like not necessarily all compression gear in my head. I was thinking of like the spandex, the Under Armour type material. I imagine that's kind of the direction you were thinking too for that.
Yep.
Or are
No,
you
that's
thinking like
fair.
a compression top and compression bottoms?
Yeah, compression top would be unusual. I think it would
Right.
restrict breathing, but I think
Right.
there's a ton of, I did look at some compression websites and there is a lot of different things, compression socks, compression knee sleeves. Actually, in the marathons, the London one, a lot of the runners are wearing like compression arm sleeves. And one of the things they said on it was that, it helps, maybe a minor amount of keeping your blood flow from your extremities into your core. Um, so as well as keeping you a little bit warm, it was a rainy day.
Right.
So there's a lot of different compression things and a thousand different ways of compression shorts and pants but I didn't see a lot of compression tops.
And then baggy, obviously, we're talking about like loose fitting, not necessarily ill fitting. But also at least for me, I was picturing more of just like you didn't go out and buy new running clothes. You're wearing like the Rocky running outfit, right? You got the gray sweats with the whatever shirt and a sweatband, maybe, maybe not kind of deal.
Yeah, and a good example of that would be Courtney Don Walter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, she
Yes.
wears almost like a pair of basketball shorts, it looks like.
I know she's like the longest shorts I've ever seen in running. It's so funny. Yes. Yes. Okay. So good. Now everyone can picture what we're talking about. So, we're going to flip heads or tails to see who has to defend what, which like may or may not have helped our arguments. I feel like that possibly made me have weaker arguments for each, but, we'll see how it goes. So
All
I'm
right.
gonna, okay, wait, how does this go again?
You pick heads or tails, and I'll flip the coin.
Okay. Tails. I
It
love
is
that sound.
tails. It is tails. You get to choose.
All right, well, it sounds like you're the expert on compression stuff, so I'm gonna actually go. I'm gonna go with Baggy then because that was probably the opposite of what I should do.
It's not too late. You haven't started yet. You can choose whatever one you want.
I'll go Baggy. I'll go
Okay.
Baggy because that's actually more what I think I wear on a regular basis. Yeah. All right. So you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So there's a number of websites when I started searching compression gear. I don't wear compression gear, but I do have a pair of compression socks. Don't wear them though, but I'm going to start now that I've read the websites. There is a mix of marketing materials and science behind this. So someone went through and sort of looked at what the scientific support was for compression gear, and here's what the evidence showed. Right, it said the evidence clearly suggests that wearing compression clothing can slightly improve your performance, most notably by enhancing your aerobic threshold or VO2 max. So that was, so you can get a little bit of an additional cardio benefit from wearing the compression clothing. There was another part of the study that looked at, one of the marketing claims is that it helps with recovery, right? It takes the lactic acid out quicker, your muscles aren't as sore. The science on that one didn't support that. It concluded that there really was no evidence to support that your recovery benefited by wearing compression activities. There was a slight difference, but they sort of attributed that to sort of the placebo effect. So, but the good news was that there was at least a slight difference, and use the word slight, but in a marathon, you're talking about a minute or two improvement that you could get from that slight difference in your VO2 max by either keeping your running pace at the same pace for a longer period of time or being able to run quicker. One of the two of those would come from that benefit. So the science does support it. And based on that, I'm going to just go with, I'm resting my case initially. I'm going to come back with a rebuttal if you have any good facts. But I'm going to just go with the science to start with and say that there is actually a slight improvement from doing this. It's a little bit of money. So I'm going to throw that out there initially. Like, it could cost you $100 to $150, up to maybe $200 for some of these compression gear. But it's not like you're trying to buy a race car if you wanted to run NASCAR, right? If you're really just running, it's cheaper than a pair of shoes, the high-end shoes that you can buy. And so from that standpoint, you can wear the same thing that the professionals wear. And also say, the world record holder in the marathon, Kipchoge, if you look at him and his runs, he wears the compression pants, like the shorts. So with those two facts, I'm going to rest my case.
I do not appreciate being put in a situation where I have to argue against science. That feels really uncomfortable, but regardless, people I don't disagree with science usually. Anyway, moving on. Baggy clothes, first of all, no barrier to entry, right? Everybody has a t-shirt somewhere. They got shorts somewhere of varying bagginess, whether it's your pajama shorts, boxer shorts you found somewhere, cut off sweatpants, right? You got something baggy. You got a t-shirt. Someone has a t-shirt in your house. So you don't have to go buy anything. You have it, put it on, go for a run. Everybody, throwback to Brittany Runs a Marathon episode. Brittany's first run, she threw on her sweats. She had her t-shirt. She just went out there and did it. If you had to worry about going out to get your compression outfit, your tight fitting, whatever, you might not be going out for your run. So that's argument number one. Depending on the weather, it can be warmer wearing something baggy. I know for me personally, if I put on an Under Armour shirt, like that cold gear stuff, I feel colder in that. It feels like weirdly restrictive, kind of like in a wetsuit. Just the sensory feels a little ick to me. So anybody who has like sensory needs, I'm guessing you don't like being put into that tight sleeve there. So I think, I have a fleece lined sweatpants that I cannot wait to get out for the winter time to run in, because you will be sweating in them. So it's so nice. And ill-fitting compression can be problematic. It can cut off some circulation, reduce some flow. I was wearing not compression pants, but non-stretchy pants the other day. I tried to squat down, couldn't move because you're just stuck in there. So you got your baggy, free flowing. You can move as much as you want. So again, the feel of it is better, breathable, just like the weather stuff, right? You got the cotton shirt. Some of us really need that for, getting the moisture off of us or holding the water on us, depending on where you are weather-wise. As mentioned, oh, go ahead.
I'll say, yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that there's a lot of variety with wearing whatever you have at your house, right? Because you know what you feel that's comfortable, you know what is warm, what's too warm, what's not warm enough. So I will give you that there is some benefit to like just knowing your own wardrobe. Well, I will say, you mentioned pajama bottoms. I don't think anyone should be wearing pajama bottoms running. So that's just me. That's just an old guy's view of the world. Is pajama bottoms belong in the bedroom.
I will say the few times that I either am up early and doing the treadmill or late at night doing the treadmill, there's a good chance I have on like a whole onesie pajama with my sneakers on, because it's just easier that way. So can't disagree with you more. But with that fact, you look like a badass wearing baggy stuff. As mentioned, Rocky, right? Fictional icon. The baggy sweats, cut off baggy shirts. Courtney DeWalter, same thing. She's got to have some idea in her head that makes sense why she's got her baggy clothes on. She's probably said it before and I just don't know. She has one. I mentioned Brittany runs a marathon. And I feel like there's like a surprise element of you show up to the race, you got, your old baggy shirt on, you got some baggy sweats on, and all of a sudden you're cruising by everybody in their like teched out gear, right? They got their Alpha Flies on, their compression Nike shorts, their Under Armour Nike, suction cup shirt, and then you're just wearing whatever and you zoom past them. So that's like a fun little boost of like, hey, check me out, I'm a badass, right? So no science in my argument.
No science, but sometimes a passionate argument, even without any science, can go a long way.
Yes.
I'll give you that one too, because I do say, like if you're buying compression outfits, like how many are you going to buy, right? You're going to buy like, 10, that can get expensive if I had to buy like, 10 different pairs of compression shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, as a skinny guy, I don't know if I really want to be running around in compression shorts. To be perfectly honest, I don't really want to see me outrunning, or a guy like me outrunning in his compression shorts. That's just me.
Well, and that's the thing is like, and I think I was like reading something recently where like, I don't know, male runners are now more leaning towards like they just wear the tights, right? But you used to see guys all the time with the tights and then the baggy shorts over the tights, which is like a look in and of itself. But like that's what you used to see. Now they're just like, forget it. We're just gonna go full compression pants, which is like also really silly sometimes looking. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, like it is definitely a funny thing that you like put the tights on and the baggy shorts over the tights. So even back then, people wouldn't like it.
Yeah, there should be no rules, and there's not. I mean, I just don't want to see me running. I mean, it's just me. And maybe I'm self-conscious. I don't really want to be out there running in my compression shorts.
Fair.
So I would be a guy, if I had my compression shorts on, I'd probably put a pair of long shorts over top of them.
Yeah.
So all you would see would be the baggy pants. So never knowing that there's a pair of compression shorts underneath.
Right. So it still has that element of surprise of like, I'm still a badass because you can't tell that I got my compression gear on.
Yeah. I'll also, but my only rebuttal will be, if you do have like injuries, right? There are reasons that compression outfits, I think, can help you. It can, like, if you have a knee, your meniscus is loose and it floats a little bit, and there's the knee sleeve you can use that helps keep things in place. So there are some compression, I think, which would help from an injury standpoint. But I think that's probably few and far between. I mean, most people who are injured aren't running, to be perfectly honest, but they do tout that as one of their, things is that like it does help with, it's almost like that physio tape. You see that all the time now with in sporting events like tennis and stuff. People are always taped up their shoulders, their legs. I don't see it much with running, like marathon runners. I don't see a whole lot of videotape on them, but
You must not look at the slow people, because if you look around, there is slow people with their knees taped together. They have their hips taped together. Oh my
okay.
gosh. I don't know how you've missed all of us pedestrians out here with our KT tape covering
I'm
our
lucky
bodies.
focused. I don't even notice because I am one of those people in the back of the pack. I am
Yeah.
not I am not leading the pack.
We're like, how have you missed us? What are you talking about?
Well, do you wear the tape?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I've worn the tape with you. There was a half marathon we did where I had to tape my knee together.
Well, that you did. That was an injury. That was that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. No, I taped like through pregnancy, taped my stomach, post-pregnancy, taped my stomach. Post-pregnancy, that's the wrong word. Postpartum, taped my stomach. I've taped my back. Um,
Okay. Oh,
yeah, I'm not big on like taping. I've taped my knees a few times. I don't find that it helps, but yeah, people do tape. Um, and also, I mean, the argument for compression, in all seriousness, chafing is a huge issue for so many people, right? So, compression bottoms help with chafing a lot for people who get like the thighs, which is why I compression bottoms a lot. Sports bras obviously are pretty important for a lot of us who need them. Or even like guys wearing the compression tops to avoid, I can always picture from The Office when Andy, they run like a race or whatever, and Andy's like putting band-aids over his nipples to avoid chafing, and then he still gets chafing and it's like a whole mess. But yeah, like wearing those baggy shirts can cause different friction. So that is a problem with
I do use the
team
Band-Aid
baggy.
method. So
You have done the band-aids?
oh yeah.
Does it
Yeah,
work?
yeah, I've done it because I've had a number of times where if you have a cotton shirt that gets sweaty, that definitely rubs and it does hurt.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe it.
yeah, so I actually forgot to do it the last marathon, but I didn't have a problem. But I have had a problem before, so I do usually have two Band-Aids with me that I bring to the race and put them on beforehand.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
am
so
that guy.
funny.
By the way, so you may want to check out this website now that I know you're arguing for loose, but the CW-X compression technology is CWX patented exo web technology incorporates um, kinesiology tape principles into high performance compression tights. So you may want to be able to buy these tights that actually have and it actually is outlined on the tights as if it's taped to like there's tape on your thighs and around your knee. I'm sure there's probably some within the tights. It's a little bit less stretchy there, so you sort of feel like it's actually taped your joints together.
I've
There you go.
actually, I think it's the brand I tried on years ago, and I found them like to be a little suffocating because I just like didn't like the experience of it. But I know people who are really, really into those. And I forgot about it completely actually until you said that.
Yeah, there
It
you
was like
go.
CrossFit people talking about them for a while. They were wearing them. Yeah. Oh, I'll have to check that out still.
All right, so we'll declare this one a win for compression.
Yeah. Well, you have actual science on your side.
And
So
it's only, by the way, for anyone, I'll go with I got the little tiny finger up again.
yes, very
Slight,
small
slight,
gesture.
I say slight benefit. I mean, for most of us, for the 99.9% of us who aren't, going to worry about getting that extra 0.5%, it's not going to help. It's not going to take you from a 4-hour marathon to a 3.5-hour marathon.
Yes, no one's ever been disqualified for cheating because they wear compression clothes, as far as
Yes.
I know.
No.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So
Oh, do you have more?
no, I was going to just rehash on last week that just I think science won last week too because I feel like
Was there science?
running outside
Oh,
um, without your headphones in the morning should be the winner in my mind for last week because
because you said all of those arguments.
yeah, maybe that's why maybe because those were my arguments. I feel like those were definitely the right answers.
I would say those are all of yours.
All right, forget. We won't rehash last week.
Moving on. Yeah.
Yes.
Also, weigh in, people, on which arguments were the best, because I feel like on all accounts we are weak arguers. We'll have to get better at this as time goes on.
Yeah, I feel like you take a lot. I feel like I have a lot more information than you. You
You
seem like
do.
you take a little bit of information and you spend a lot, and you're able to articulate it on a longer period of time and more passionately than me. I try to take my information and I just am not as passionate as you with this stuff.
It's a gift, I
It's a gift.
guess.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
must have taken this in college where you just debate things like whether you're right or wrong, you can debate it.
I can just say stuff. Yeah, I'm good at making up things too. All right, so gels versus real food. Now, to define these loosely, hopefully we agree. So with gels, I was thinking like the goos, the chews, the gummies, the blocks, like that kind of stuff was what we were really talking about.
Yeah, the prepackaged, all the stuff that's be specifically designed for running and convenience.
Perfect. And then real food, obviously, gels are real food because it's not like an NFT of a sandwich, right? Which is the only thing would be like fake food. I don't even know.
I didn't think NFTs were going to come out on this phone call. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't know how to define fake food. But for real food, I think we were really referring more to like homemade type things, whole foods ideas, correct?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, bananas, that
Okay.
kind of stuff, like real food. What we'll call real food.
He just said real food again. Defined real food by real food. Okay, perfect. So did you want to pick this time?
No, you can pick heads or tails. You ready?
Heads. I can't tell.
It's heads. It's heads. Your choice.
Let's see. I'll do gels.
Okay, you're gonna go on the science side this time. Okay,
I know I'm like regretting it already.
yeah, go with science. I mean, I think you've probably spent enough time on the anti-science side. Let's give a little bit of science here.
I know, but I feel like my lack of research really goes with the non-science, if that makes sense. Yikes. All right. Am I starting or are you starting?
Go ahead this time. This is all you.
All right. So gels. I mean, how can you argue with not taking something that was specifically designed to help with performance for runners? I mean, it's literally like, it'd be like saying like, here's your training plan, and then being like, no, I'm going to do something else. That's not my training plan because my training plan was written exactly for me, but I don't trust it. So that's not the argument I need. They were made by dietitians, scientists, all those people to help with running. In my notes, I have designed for maximum performance and to be processed easily and digested and utilized quickly. As runners, we know when we are, I mean, not so much, I think in the ultra world, sometimes you can stop, have more of like the food kind of breaks, but we're talking more on like our training runs, our long runs up to a marathon. We really want to be able to not have to stop, halt our progress, take a break from our running to figure out what we're taking in, and then moving on. With that, there has been some research on just taking your carbs with liquids, like for people who can get like a carb drink. That has been sometimes shown to dehydrate you a little bit. So you do need to have something separate from your hydration, in addition to for getting your nutrition, your fueling. So most of the time our gels are going to be maltodextrin along that category because that is going to be easily utilized to give us that energy. Why did I take my notes backwards that I have all the cons in my gel column? What the heck? They are designed for fast consumption. Like I said, the flavor, there is a variety of flavors. They do like fruity flavors. You can have salty flavors. You can have sweet flavors. So there is that variety for people who have different interests and tastes. They've come a long way from like when they first started. So they have made ones that are more for sensitive stomach people, because I think oftentimes the biggest drawback to gels and goos, and I've had some runners say this as well, is it just like makes them feel yucky afterwards. They're having some kind of like weird sensory thing again. So there are those different flavors. There's the different consistencies. There's the gooey ones. There's the jelly gummy ones. There's the blocks that are more chewable. So they have made a variety, flavors, and consistencies.
How many blocks did you eat during the half marathon?
I did an entire sleeve. So that was I believe it's 3 servings, 2.5 to 3 servings in there.
Okay.
Because they recommend 3 little blocks an hour,
Okay.
I believe. But I think I did slightly over that because by the end I was starting to feel like I did not want to run anymore. And I was like, eat something. Yeah, so I try to stick to the higher end of like the 30 to 60 recommended what is it, grams of carbs per
Hmm.
hour.
Yep.
So I usually am on the higher end, but I know again that can vary by effort and all that stuff. But the good thing about these is they all are serving sized out so that it's easy to get that in one sitting. So you're having like 1 or 2 gels, or like I said, one sleeve. It would have been half a sleeve if I was, for the hour. So I had one whole sleeve for my whole effort. So it's easy to get what you need from those things in a convenient size. They fit easily into pockets. They fit easily into vests, easily in your hand. I had mine stuffed in my sports bra at the top, just because I didn't have pockets on the bottoms. So that works out too. Speaking of the variety, a lot of the times they have sodium in them. So to go sodium with the sugar and the carbs, some of them have caffeine, some of them have potassium. So they are adding some things that are going to give you that extra benefit, depending on what you need. And to quote, I'm sure there's like lots of running podcast overlap, because I know like when you like a niche thing, you find all the podcasts to go with it. So the Planted Runner, Claire, I'm like pointing as if she's here. Claire Bartholic, her book, she probably talks about it in her podcast too, but I believe it's just The Planted Runner is her book. But when I chatted with her months ago on the podcast, she talked a lot about in her book. And when we talked, fueling while running is different than fueling when you're sitting at home. And so she is plant-based, whole foods based all the time, pretty much, except for when she's running. So she likes to talk about how those things are very different. You are trying to get those fast things right into your body as quickly as possible. You don't need those things that are going to take longer to digest, that are going to, it's just a whole different vibe, right? That is the end of my argument.
You rest. You
Yeah, that
rest.
was like an abrupt ending because I thought I had more and
Okay.
I don't.
You had a lot. You had a lot you had all the things that I was considering. I mean, I think I do agree that there's a convenience factor. Like I think I told you when I ran the marathon a month or so ago. I I went with real food. I made peanut butter
Mm-hmm.
and jelly sandwiches, and I did use those when I was training. So I felt like, okay, that's what I'm going to go with. I didn't want to really mess with gels, even though they seem convenient. But in a training run, when you're running, I can stop at my car and grab my peanut butter and jelly sandwich or put it in my belt pack. When you're running 10-minute miles, it's like pretty easy to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's not easy to eat when I was running 8.5-minute miles and breathing heavily, and it didn't work out real well. I should have just gone with bread and jelly, and I didn't really need the peanut butter. Um, so I will say that there is a convenience factor to it, but just because I made some bad decisions doesn't mean that gels were the next answer. The better answer is probably still real food in my mind. Um, and real food is confusing for people. I think well, am I supposed to make a bunch of sandwiches? That doesn't seem very easy to transport. But in the list of real food that's pretty much equivalent to a gel pack, a banana. It is one of those. A little box of raisins, dried apricots, dates, an applesauce, squeeze pack that you would probably have for your children. Those things are all equivalent to the carbs you would get in a gel pack that's been specifically engineered and all that great stuff. It's almost like it was a solution to a problem that didn't really exist. I mean, I think people were doing fine eating with just regular food. Maybe they weren't eating the right food, but if you do now know that a banana, raisins, dates, applesauce, all of those things are pretty much equivalent to those gel packs. There's no reason to go out and buy a gel pack. And yes, there's a bunch of different flavors. You can also get a bunch of caffeine that you probably may or may not want, depending on the type of gel pack you get. And I think people, because they don't eat them all the time, they tend to only use these for runs, and they tend to only use them for maybe a long run or really a race. And that can be a bad strategy to sort of change things up a little bit at the last minute, since you eat, quote, real food. 99% of the time, I think real food is still the best advantage. And do you recall the Born to Run book? You recall that book, right?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, the guys in the Copper Canyons, the
Nah.
Tarahumara. That I don't recall them meeting. I don't recall
Who's
them getting
Chris
gels.
McDougal?
There was no gel
No.
packs. No, none. I don't recall any of those ultra running books that we did book reviews on, whether it be Marshall Ulrich and his Run Across America. Who was the other guy? Oh, Dean Carnesis, like jackass of all jackasses, and Scott Jurek, Mr. Nice Guy. None of those that mentioned gel packs in their racing strategy. Now, again, those guys are all ultras, as you said. In an ultra, there's a little bit probably more leeway because I also don't see Kipchoge. I didn't see in the London Marathon. I don't see anyone stopping for a food intake or even slowing for food intake. They tend to just really be bottles, and I think they're probably getting their hydration and, as you said before, like some people now doing hydration and nutrition in sort of a liquid form, and I think that's probably what a lot of those elite athletes are probably doing just from it's difficult to eat
At
in an
5 minute
all out
pace.
at 5 minute pace. Yeah, if I can't do it at 8.5 minute pace, they can't do it at five.
Yeah.
So I think that's they're actually going the other way. They're going with the hydration side of it. So yeah, I think my argument would be really that yeah, it is specifically designed for it. I'll give the other thing to the gels, which is volume. I mean, if I'm going to have to carry 3 or 4 bananas with me versus 3 or 4 gel packs, the gel packs are smaller. Carrying 3 bananas is probably not the most convenient thing in the world. But if you're dealing with like a box of raisins, a banana, an applesauce pack, it's probably very similar to the gel packs. Similar, I won't say there's still a volume size that the gel packs are pretty condensed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't do the math on like how many applesauces, but I would imagine you might need more than one applesauce. Because I know that's a popular one. Like bread with honey, you mentioned jelly is like a
Yep.
big one too. I was just reading about someone who does sweet potatoes, which made me want to throw up. Not that I hate sweet potatoes, but the fact that they like boiled a sweet potato and brought it on their run and then like ate it while they were
Yeah,
running.
well,
I was like so grossed out.
I'll read the entire list. Like, there's a list of like 8 things. So, like dried apricots, bananas, raisins, dates, applesauce, salted boiled potatoes or sweet
Yeah.
potatoes. One small potato or half a large potato is 30 grams of carbs. So that's really, you're still talking about 30 per hour. So if you got a 3 or 4 hour run, you're talking about, 4 potatoes. That's a lot of potato eating while you're running. They have low fiber dry cereal is another option. White bread, as we mentioned, with honey or jam. 1 slice of bread with 2 tablespoons of jam or honey is about 45 grams of carbs. And then pretzels, like 25 mini pretzels. I don't know how you would eat pretzels and run. That seems like the driest concept in the world. Like,
I know I'm the worst coach ever. So I suggested one of my runners try this because everything was making her stomach hurt that she was trying to eat when she was running. And I was like, I know people do pretzels. I've done it with like the ultra. I ate pretzels while I was running, but again, it was slow. I took walk breaks, blah, blah, blah. And she messaged me the next day and was like, I tried the pretzels, but like it's so dry. And I'm like, I try it again if it doesn't hurt. But again, it's like it's so hard when stuff is like upsetting your stomach and like
yeah,
there becomes limited options with like some people, there's things that work when they're not running and then they eat the same stuff when they're running and it makes them feel sick. So yeah, pretzels are tough. Maple syrup's another one, like put maple syrup even in water. I've done that in the past too.
you seem like you're an advocate for real food.
Ah, no, the convenience gets, sorry, I thought I heard the monitor. The convenience side really does get me with like what's easy to carry, what's going to take less of my time. Because I really, if it were up to me and I didn't like know anything or try anything, like I wouldn't eat and run because I never used to do it. It just seems too much work and I'm not a long distance person. So normally when I'm running, I don't have to eat because I'm not running that long. So yeah, so I do. Well, you saw at the ultra, I don't know if it was counts as real food because like gummy bears are nasty in that way. But it was gummy bears and ice cream cones for a lot of it. And then some pretzels. I think it's pretty much all eventually mini muffins. Like, so real, really vague, real food for that.
Real highly processed food.
Right. It wasn't gelled, but like it wasn't a baked potato either.
Yeah,
Um,
I am going to try. So I'm going to go the other way. I'm actually going to try the gels for the next race I do. So because I just said I've done real foods for the last few, and when I'm running it for some reason, I actually had a bottle of electrolytes at the halfway point where there was a table waiting. I could have just grabbed it at the 13 and a half, 13.1 point, but I just didn't feel like grabbing it. It's like, and I'm not thirsty at the moment. I really don't feel like carrying a water bottle while I'm running. And the same thing
mhm.
with food. It's like, and once I get to the first part of the marathon, I'm like, I don't feel like eating anymore, and then I really pay the price in the back end. So I'm really hoping I'm gonna change the gels. I'm gonna try to do Sunday long runs where I'm gonna just experiment with doing gels in that process. But like you said, you just don't know like what's gonna upset your stomach and what's not gonna feel great. And to your friend's point, it's like if you're not feeling good, it is sort of trumps everything. So you really got to find something, whether it's real food or a gel or something else. Only two options, but that's not going to upset your stomach because that's really you just can't run long distances with an upset stomach.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And again, I think I mentioned the drinks with carbs and stuff in them. Um, it was limited things that I saw saying they could potentially make you more dehydrated. So that was just to say my argument's sake for gels. I don't, again, if people want to try that, I don't think there's a huge issue with that unless it obviously doesn't make you feel well. But again, I'm a person who would rather drink something than have to carry food around and eat it. So, um, yeah. Oh my gosh, why do I keep doing this for my arguments? I just I unsay everything I said for my arguments. I'm terrible at this.
No, it's good, information to hear someone's point of view, but understand like, hey, there are other sides to this argument. It's not like I'm not just going to be so polarized. I'm only going to argue one side, and then everything else is you're wrong. So
True.
it's fair to be acknowledge that hey, there are some benefits to this or that.
Yes. Eat whatever you want as long as you're trying to eat something on your runs and it's making it easier to run.
Yeah, it's easy to
Um,
run and recognize that it's you're looking for carbs. That's what your body needs for a long run, and this is how many you need. Don't try to eat. I remember when we were in Florida together. I think for the first maybe it was a half marathon. I told the guy I was going to eat, I don't know, eat one of those gel packs like 1 a mile, and he's like, you're gonna have some serious bathroom issues. It's before this thing's up on me. Okay, I miscalculated. Sorry.
oh my gosh.
It wasn't 1 a mile. It was like 1 an hour.
Yikes. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Moving on from
Yes,
gels and the
next.
bathroom problems with that. So marathon, bucket list or overrated?
Uh,
Picking tails.
You're taking tails this time? All right, here we go. It's tails. You are 3 for 3, man.
Does it hear what you're saying and just pick that for you? This is a
No,
coin flipping app for
that
anyone
would
not
be
watching on YouTube.
that would be nice if I just tell it I want tails.
It's like a cheater coin flip. Um,
Well, it's not cheating for me, it's cheating for you. So
that's true. All right,
yeah.
I'm picking overrated.
Okay.
I think I'm picking overrated. Yeah. All right. Are you going first or am I
All
going
right, I'll go
first?
first. Sure. So
Okay.
I'm going with bucket list.
Must have.
It's a must have. It is. I will say there is how many people have done a marathon in their lifetime? I
I
think
think it's less than 1%.
it's 0.05% of people in the US have completed a marathon.
There you go.
So if you want to be if, on your deathbed, if you want to say you did something that 99.95% of the US population has never done, that's it. Pick a marathon and do it. You got to do it. So that's number one. I think I think it's on people's bucket list because of the process you have to go through to achieve it. I think that's really where the benefit is. I mean, finishing a marathon, okay, great. I mean, I told you I finished 4 marathons. I've run 4 marathons. I finished 4 marathons. 3 didn't go quite the way I had planned, and I finished them because I didn't have a choice. I mean, it was you just have to. it wasn't like a taxi cab I could take home. Um, but I still felt like I learned a lot, not necessarily on the run, but in the training up to the run. You know, when you put in 4 months of training, you learn a lot about yourself. You get a sense of worth. You get an air of confidence that things that you've achieved that you didn't think you could achieve. Going out and doing those long runs with or without headphones, you still have a lot of time to think, become introspective, try to be a better person. So I think there's a lot that gets gained in the process of training for a marathon. Whether you do or don't do one um, isn't necessarily, in my mind, like the end all be all. It really is the decision to do it, the putting the mindset in to say, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go out and run, 4 or 5 days a week. I'm going to go do a long run of, 20 miles, a few times before this thing. That's quite an achievement. That alone, that not many people achieve. And that's really where the value is, not necessarily in saying on your deathbed you did a marathon. I do think that what your spouse or your friends, the willing sacrifices that you've made that other people aren't willing to make, that feels good. And I think that's why I run. I mean, I think that's why I like running, is I like to have doing things that other people aren't necessarily willing to do. They're not hard to do. Anyone can go out and run, but no one really wants to do it because it's not a lot of fun. So I enjoy doing things that people aren't willing to do for the most part. So that's where I get my satisfaction. So I'd say it's a must in that regard. It's not overrated even a little bit. Over to you, Tor.
Well, I hate to dumble over your emotional plea here because I feel like that was quite it mattered to you, but overrated for sure. Coming from someone who's run longer than a marathon distance, but has not run an actual marathon at a race before. Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's throw mental health in there because you can never argue with mental health. The emotional roller coaster it takes to train for a race like that and to have it possibly not go your way, most likely not go your way, can be pretty devastating on people. The isolation you get while you're deep into training can be bad for certain personality types. And then post-race blues, that's a thing that happens to a lot of us as we're now running less. Our body's now trying to regulate. Again, we're not getting those endorphin hits like we were before because a lot of us are actually going to have to recover after a marathon. So why put yourself through that when distances and races do not define your running success? Talk to so many people about how to feel satisfaction from your running, how to just feel more fulfilled in your life. And the biggest thing they talk about is process-focused goals over outcomes. And I think this is the ultimate argument for process over outcome, right? If you're not training for a marathon, you're not doing all that, you are just, you're doing the process. You run to run, you run to feel good about running. You can be a great runner without ever running a marathon. Points to self, just kidding. Not a great runner or anything, but or you don't actually even need to be a great runner, right? If you like running for whatever purpose, you like doing your 1 mile a day every day, you like doing 1 mile a week, whatever it is, it might just not be your thing. Also, if you're not running a marathon, you are saving probably $150+ that you could be buying coffee every day for the month or something. So you're saving money. Let's see. Also in the mental health field, again, you're not defining your self-worth by the achievements that you have. So talk to marathoners and they're going to always say, I'm a marathoner. And that's now something that defines them, correct? So if you don't make that a thing that matters to you, you have different things that you value about yourself. And like I said, you could be more process focused. One of the big benefits of running is the meditative aspect of it. We talked about that last week, I think, when we talked about music versus not, right? You're able to just be in your body. You don't have to focus on training. You're not getting that potential burnout that's going to make you now hate the hobby that you used to love because you trained too hard or you made it matter more than it needed to. So you really are getting to run, enjoy that meditative state. You're not putting pressure on distances, times, any of that stuff. Even if you have to miss a run, you now don't have that guilt hanging over you that you missed the long run you needed to do. Let's see. The age-old argument that's like not really true. Marathons can be hard on your body. It's bad for you to run that far.
You're gonna die.
Your uterus will fall out. No, kidding. It's not if you train correctly, but you do have to recover from that. So those are things people have to keep in mind is a lot of us, the way we train up to that. And then you are going to need to let that body heal afterwards. Not all of us are prepared to run a marathon and then continue training on after that. So things you need to keep in mind. Yeah. And that was my argument. And with that, I will say, I love all of you marathon people. I'm coaching a bunch of marathon people right now, and I couldn't be more excited for them to finish their marathons because I totally get it. I just like to make an argument about stuff. It's just, it was low-hanging fruit. I mean,
well, yeah, because it is funny because people don't define themselves as I'm a 10K-er.
Right, you don't.
No,
marathoners.
But if you're a marathoner, you say you're a marathoner. It's almost like you're a CrossFitter. You're a marathoner. It's
exactly.
It is, and somehow it comes up in conversations. Oh yeah, I ran that marathon.
Well,
oh yeah.
in my pros column for a marathon as a bucket list item was you always have something to talk about. If you're someone who struggles with small talk or whatever, it's like if you're marathon training, you can just chat about marathon training. If you ran a marathon, you can talk about the marathon you ran 10 years ago. So, it helps with your social life in that aspect.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it is a good topic of conversation for people who are runners. If you're not a runner, no one cares. No one cares. No one wants to hear about your running stories. No one cares. Which is why I run a running podcast. So hopefully people who care about running only listen to this. If non-runners,
why are you here? And I'm so sorry.
We're going to log into something else.
Right, exactly. No, it's funny because how I listen to a bunch of crap podcasts. So like, the ones that review The Bachelor and other stuff like that. So terrible. But they recently, because there's a new season of like the old people Bachelor now or whatever. And the one woman mentioned she's run like 10 marathons or something. So in her bio, like all these random podcast recappers are talking about how, she's a marathoner. And it's like, it's so funny because like they're trying to be excited about this lady. And like, she wrote that as a thing about her. So they're like, wow, marathons. Well, I'm like, that's usually never what anybody, unless you're a runner, which these people aren't usually. No one's like, oh my gosh, she's a marathoner. They're like, okay, who cares? But I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, you have to expand your podcast listening because I listened to Kara Goucher and Des Linden. Right, we reviewed Kara's book. I know I read Des's. I think
you did.
I think so. I don't think we reviewed it on the podcast, but they have a great podcast as well. It's just like us, where they talk about
just like us,
just like us. Yes,
we're the same.
I don't know whether I'm Des or Kara, but
right. Totally. I know I do. I need to expand. My brain just doesn't like it. It needs crap all the time. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm either I'm still in the financial world because I'm listening to Sam Bankman-Fried. He's the guy that did FTX cryptocurrency. Anyway, there was a book just written and released on him by Michael Lewis, who also wrote a bunch of other books I'd read. Anyway, so I'm either doing running books or financial related books. So I'm on a financial one now.
And this is our podcast, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we just get off topic on chatting, because we can do that, I'm sure. But so those were the 3 things we're talking about today. Feel free to weigh in. I do check for comments on YouTube. Also, I try to put a poll up on Spotify. So YouTube and Spotify listeners, you can engage a little bit. Otherwise, leave a review. Make sure it's 5 stars. Even if you think that all of our arguments were terrible, at least put 5 stars and then say, you guys are dumb. Your arguments are bad. That's super fine. We'll even talk about them on the podcast if I see them. So next week, what are we talking about next week? I should have had it pulled up. I'm sure it's 3 other fun topics. Let's see who can get there first.
It's road versus trail.
Okay.
It's the shoe showdown, minimalist versus super cushions.
Ooh.
And then let's see, extravaganza gadgets like GPS watches. Are they worth it or are they just hype?
All right. So same thing. We're going to both try to prep both sides, and then we'll flip coins to see what we're going to talk about.
And hopefully I'll win the coin flips this time.
Maybe we'll let you pick the coin flip for next time and see if you get as lucky as me. But yeah, so we'll be picking those next week on the show. Again, if you have any other ideas, let us know. If you have opinions on any of the ideas, also let us know, because that is fun as well. If you're running any cool races, let us know. Anything interesting about running, just let us know, because we want to know. Let's see, is that it?
That's it for me.
Unless you want to review more of your financial.
No, we can do
podcast.
we can talk about the Bachelorette or Bachelor and
Yeah.
financial books after the podcast ends.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Thank you. And thanks, everybody. Hopefully you agreed with some of our weak arguments here.